Welcome to A Comic Illuminati, episode 9. Hope you enjoyed the wake that took place last episode. It's sort of our going away. That was the end of DC continuity as we knew it. And you know what? Now, about a month later, I'm a little, I think I need to tell you sort of how did we get to that point? How do you get rid of everything, a legacy that had come before? Because there's good and there's bad about this. We are going to do a 3-part look at these new DC 52 books and more. In this episode, we are going to look at the lead up, the history that led to this. In future episodes, we're going to have a look at what has happened, with these issues. And then some lasting effects. And then in the final part of the 3, we're going to look at some theories that I have surrounding this, both good and bad. Now, I think it's important to note that Marvel, up to this point, published anywhere from 20 to 25% more average, general, floppy, monthly books than DC did. So that is a very important side note to see why DC then looks at increasing about 10, 15 more titles a month, which goes into getting that market share and a larger percentage of that market share. So that's our setup going into why DC would do this. So some history. DC has always been that calm, less flashy, less bombastic big brother to Marvel. Started in the 30s, DC had a lot longer time, became a lot more conservative. Marvel, straight from the get-go, was definitely has always been pushing more boundaries, the house of ideas, if you will. So that complacency, that mild amount of conservatism in DC's camp, though owned by a large corporation, Warner Brothers, will allow you for decades to sit back and make very good comics and no one notices inside your giant entertainment monster. When the contracts that Marvel had given to other film companies start coming back in with large amounts of money and very, very successful films, your entertainment monster starts to take notice. Why don't we have giant Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Flash movies, as Marvel has all of theirs? And when people start to, inside your own company, start to take notice of what the potential is of your own characters, well, that's going to lead to some changes. Changes like when Paul Levitz, former president of DC, was removed from his position about 2.5 years ago. Paul Levitz, a conservative, calm, the same things I said about the company in overall for the last 70 years, Levitz embodied these. He had, in essence, a Comics Code Authority type reign over the company, but also had some of the biggest changes in comics were under his rule. So you have this strange dynamic with this president. Great changes, Dark Knight Returns, Sandman, the creation of Vertigo, under his rule as president of DC Comics. And you also had very, very, very calm, deliberate publishing. And I remember the day that he was removed from his position, and I remember saying that it wouldn't be today and it might not be tomorrow, but soon these major changes, this change, Paul Levitz no longer being in charge, would come with things that may not necessarily be the best for DC. And in a flash, everything would change. And with it, not 1, not 2, not 10, but 52 new number 1s and a fresh look at DC's marvelous new universe. DC would say that this is the way that they can tap into new or lapsed readers. It's got a new focus on digital, that it is not a reboot, but just a light refreshment of their universe. 52 new number ones all in 1 month. Everything stopped and restarted. Todd McFarlane, one of the greatest comic book artists of ever, had this to say. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said no company would ever release all of their product in 1 month. Apple would not release the pad, the phone, the pod, every single piece of new technology. They would not do it all in 1 month. You cannibalize your own market. No car company would release every single new model all in the same month. No one would do that. Not ice cream, not computers, so why would you do it in comics? So Todd McFarlane, not a giant conglomerate comic book magnate, no, he's not. So what does he see that the giant comic conglomerate doesn't see? Leading into a lot of excitement, a lot of interest, new interest, a hell of a lot of concern from retailers, and a whole bunch of uncertainty from everybody. Next month, we're going to look at what has actually happened, what books were like, were there changes, some opinions on those books. We're going to look at sales, and we're going to look at some lasting effects. This is episode 9.1 of Comic Illuminati. My name is Matt Johnson, and you can consider yourself enlightened.